votes. Joining us right now is Congressman Adam Kinzinger of Illinois, friend of the show. Thanks for joining us, Congressman.
You bet.
So we've been hearing a lot of stories about the chaos in the White House over the past few days. Now, regardless of whether or not they're real or they're fake news, what kind of effect are they having on morale on Capitol Hill for you folks?
Yeah, I don't know about effect on morale. We're kind of focused on trying to get this tax reform thing done. Failing on health care had a hit on morale. We came close and we couldn't get it over the line. So I think anytime we wake up and the news cycle is taken over by palace intrigue or something going on within the White House or a tweet or something, it's a little depressing because it takes us off the message we need to do, which is like, hey, we have a tax code that's 31 years old. It's time to refresh it. Yeah. So that part takes a hit. But at the same time, look, we are out here doing what we need to do. And I think a lot of that, when you look at the story about the 10 times increase with nukes yesterday that came out, and it comes out that really President Trump just pointed at a chart and said, how come our nukes don't look like that? You kind of look at it and say, some of this may be true, some of it's probably not.
So speaking of healthcare, what do you make of Trump's rejecting Congress's approach to healthcare and signing his own executive order?
I think this would have happened. The intention, from what I understood from the beginning, was for us to pass our health care bill that would fix the insurance piece, the Medicaid piece, and then these executive orders would start coming out, and then we would hopefully move to something that's kind of bipartisan. Yeah. With the failure of Tranche 1, this is Tranche 2 coming out now. So I think it's a good move for him. And I've said this, look, we failed. We didn't. The House passed it. The Senate did. And so now it's time to realize that, look, there's real people who are affected by the health care situation in this country, and it goes beyond politics. So I think the president and his administration is hopefully going to do what he can to get this fixed, because it's real people's lives. That's what matters.
How optimistic are you that reform will happen?
I think tax reform is going to die about 100 deaths before it finally passes, right? I mean, there'll be days where we wake up and somebody came out against this bill and then we made a tweak. That's actually what happened in 1986. Everybody thought that was dead, and then they basically woke up one day and realized they had a deal. So I think that'll happen. I'm actually pretty optimistic, and I'll tell you, we have certain senators that like to make their name on being no's. That's not helpful. But within our group out here in the House, we're determined to get this done. And there'll be tweaks and changes as we put meat on the bones. But this is like a generational opportunity. And I think, whether you're on the far right or a moderate, we recognize it.
Well, switching gears, you've sent a bipartisan letter to the ATF urging them to seriously examine the bump stock accessories that were used by the killer in Las Vegas. What are you hoping is the end game there? What do you hope happens with bump stocks?
So I'm a fierce Second Amendment advocate like you are, Essie, but when you have a bump stock, it basically violates the spirit of the ban on automatic weapons. People just used ingenuity to say, here's how we make a fully automatic weapon technically legal. And so my hope is the ATF says, we're not going to just go by the technicality of the law, we're going to go by the spirit of the law. The problem with legislation for this is we'll pass legislation naming these devices, and then some smart person will come up with a new device. And then that's outside of the legislation. If the ATF says we'll do this by the spirit of the law, then every new device that goes for commercial sale, they can do in that. So I think a lot of people have said this is the right way to go. I think it is, and I hope the ATF gets on board with this approach.
Yeah. Well, and good on you for spearheading that. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, Congressman, thanks for joining us tonight.
Anytime. See ya.